This sea, between the Korean peninsula and the Japanese archipelago, has been called the East Sea for more than 2,000 years. But it harbors deep scars from a painful past. In the first half of the 20th century, Japan robbed Korea of its national sovereignty and even forced Koreans to use Japanese names. Korea was also deprived of the opportunity to make the name East Sea known to the world. What would you do if you were stripped of a long-cherished name? How long has the name East Sea been in use? According to the Chronicles of the Three Kingdoms, published in 1145 AD, the name East Sea was used as early as 59 BC. As confirmed by the monument in memory of a great Korean king in the 5th century, and numerous other references that followed, Korea has used the name East Sea for over 2,000 years. Korea has long been called the Eastern Kingdom due to its location on the eastern side of the continent. And the name East Sea, meaning the sea located not only east of the Korean peninsula, but also east of the continent in its entirety, appears on Korean maps and on maps produced in many other countries as well. The name also appears on a map of the voyages made by the world-renowned explorer Marco Polo. However, in 1929, when the IHO published the first edition of Limits of Oceans and Seas, the international reference for the names of oceans and seas, Korea, which was under Japanese colonial rule at that time, was deprived of the opportunity to present its case for the East Sea, the oldest name of this body of water. As a result, the name East Sea did not appear in that edition. Japan argues that the term Sea of Japan was established in the 19th century. But what was the name for this sea in Japan at that time? Surprisingly, official Japanese maps produced up until the late 19th century, such as the simplified map of Japan's periphery made by the Tokugawa shogunate, mark the East Sea as the Sea of Chosun, which means the Sea of Korea. What's even more noticeable is that these maps use the name Sea of Japan to refer to the sea east of Japan, which is the section of the Pacific Ocean on Japan's eastern coast. Furthermore, in the Korea-Japan Agreement on Fisheries, concluded in 1965 when diplomatic relations were normalized between the two countries, Korea and Japan used the names East Sea and Sea of Japan respectively. Japan claims that the United Nations recognized the Sea of Japan as the standard geographical term. But is that really true? In 2009, the UN Secretariat made clear that the UN had never authorized the use of the term Sea of Japan, and that it is not the standard geographical term other countries should also employ. This proves that Japan's claim is in fact untrue. IHO, the foremost international authority on this matter, recommends that if multiple countries share a sea area for which they cannot agree on a common name, each of the names they use should be accepted. In line with this IHO resolution, an ever-increasing number of the world's leading atlases, publications, and textbooks are also referring to this body of water as the East Sea. The East Sea is not for a single state, but it is a sea shared by several states. Korea wants the concurrent use of the name East Sea, which is the oldest name for this body of water. Isn't it just to request equal respect in accordance with a principle established by the international community, including the UN? In accordance with the international principle, the final draft of the 4th edition of S23 in 2002 also contains 3 cases of simultaneous use of names. Likewise, it is only reasonable to designate geographical features with the names used in the respective countries until an agreement on a common name can be reached. In the past, a number of nations, including Japan, concurrently used different names on the maps they produce. In this vein, Korea hopes respective names can be used together, side by side. The East Sea, the oldest name used for over 2,000 years. Korea will continue its endeavors to ensure that the name East Sea, historically recognized and globally accepted, will be widely used by the international community.